Hi, everybody. I'm Erin, the owner of General Drafts Newborn Care and Family Services. And today we're here with Alura Carbrey. And today we're going to talk a little bit about both of her businesses and her blogs that she has. She has a couple of blogs and also some of her fertility struggles. As you guys all know, I do a lot of work actually with, postpartum moms and prenatal moms and talk a lot about, the services and the resources that are out there for them. So welcome, Aubrey. Can you tell me a little bit about yourself?
Hi, thank you so much for having me, for sure. So my name is Alura. I was born and raised in Cape Ann in Essex, Mass. So that kind of inspired my fashion and lifestyle blog, Cats and Coffee by the Sea. So I've been blogging for about a year now. On my blog, I like to share about fun things to do in New England. If you follow along with my stories, I'm always out and about exploring fun new areas. For example, this week I found out about School Street Sunflowers, which is a beautiful place in Ipswich, Mass. It's 5 acres of these gorgeous sunflower fields, and it's kind of like a little path with like a journey, and they have all these Thoreau quotes throughout, and you kind of go through the scavenger hunt and read the different inspirational quotes.
Oh, wow. That's really cool. I know
Yeah.
somebody, a friend of mine who lives up in that area. I'll have to tell her about it.
Yeah, it's really awesome. And they open at sunrise and they stay open till sunset, which I think is really unique for a sunflower field because a lot of them around here don't do things like that. Um,
Cool, cool. What are some of the other places in New England? Especially, well, you're up in the North Shore, so do you specifically keep your blog to the North Shore?
right now, yes, because of I don't really like to venture towards the city right now with what's going on.
Okay.
But right now, yes, solely focusing on the North Shore. I work in Rockport on the weekends, so I share a lot of fun things going on in Rockport, Mass.
Oh, that's
Uh,
a really cool place. I love their little like sea area with all the quaint little shops and stuff there.
Yeah, I work with a lot of small businesses that are in Bearskin Neck and Rockport. It's a really cool area, always sharing a bunch of local restaurants that I really enjoy, some beaches, kind of like some hidden areas that you wouldn't typically know about if you weren't from the area. So,
Nice, nice.
yeah. Um,
And do you work with these? I mean, you also work for a marketing company, or you own a marketing company. I'm sorry. So do you work with these places as well as doing their marketing for them?
Some. So I started my marketing business was born during the coronavirus because I had some time to kind of chase some passions that I wanted to chase for a while. So my fiance and I started Marketing by the Sea. So to kind of as a play off of my blog, but
Yep.
we're a digital marketing agency located on the North Shore. So we have about 5 clients right now for a new company.
Great.
We're pretty proud of our progress.
That's awesome, especially in the situation that we're in too, you know?
Yeah, but we do kind of most of our clients are smaller businesses, which is like what we like to tailor our service towards. We do social media, we do branding, we do data. We just implemented a new Excel training course that my fiance is teaching, which is great for people who aren't very Excel savvy. I know I'm not.
I was gonna say maybe like me, I'm so not at all savvy in any of that kind of stuff.
But our main clients right now have been for like branding and social media management and kind of creating content to grow their presence online for sure.
Right.
And we develop websites as well. So we've made 2 websites so far also.
Good for you guys. That sounds awesome.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. That's what we're doing late at night.
Yeah, yeah, no, I know there's a lot of great businesses that have or that are coming out of the pandemic that we're in too. So that's great that you've taken advantage of it as well. Awesome, good for you. Are there some of the things that you love to do between your blog and your marketing business? Do you kind of bring them together a little bit, or do you keep them separate?
No, they definitely come together. That's actually how I've gotten a lot of my clients is through my
Hmm.
blog. A woman I'm working with right now, she does hand lettering and she makes these gorgeous signs. She was looking for a website and I was like, oh my gosh, can I make your website for you? Like after we'd worked together. So she's our newest client that we just signed on. But I guess the part that comes from my blog is I love creating content. So it's been really fun to kind of like step outside my comfort zone and my niche and make content for other clients. Like I have a client who's like a personal trainer and a cyclist. So that's been a little bit of a challenge for me because I don't really know anything about that, but it's been really fun to learn more and make content for
Oh, I'm
him.
sure. When I had my website built, the third one built, um, I felt like a lot of times I was educating the people that were doing it too. Not only that, like they kind of understood what I did, but because the times have changed so much and what we do has kind of changed, that I've had to like educate them and update them on it as well. So I can totally see how you can be educated on things that you didn't know about before, which could be a really fun aspect of your job.
Yeah, no, it's been great. And we've just met like the nicest people. And I feel like I call them like my little marketing family just because I've become so close with them. We're just so grateful for all of them.
That's great. That's great. What is so with your blog? I love the name of it. Um, Tell me some of the your favorite things that you've blogged about.
That's a tough one because I guess working with the small businesses has definitely been one of like the biggest like plus of like my blog. I have met so many phenomenal like young women in the area and just getting to know them and become friends with them and helping them grow. That has definitely been one of the biggest parts. But I guess this is one that's coming up next week on the blog, a little sneak peek. But I had an awesome collab with Loft. Um,
Oh, wow.
yeah, so I'm really excited to share that. It's been an amazing opportunity. I'm really excited to be able to partner with like a brand that I love so much. But
That's great.
aside from that,
I'm
I'd have to say
sorry.
I we're talking over each other. Go ahead.
Oops. Oh, I'm sorry. You go.
I said aside from that, just working with Tula has been an absolute privilege too, because I've been using their products for years and just having the opportunity to work with them has been like unreal for me. I always get so excited when brands reach out to work with me. I'm like, oh my gosh, you want to work with me?
That's awesome. Oh, that's great. That's even better when you already use the products too, because then you can genuinely talk about them and how you experience them firsthand, which is great. Now, speaking of products, you do a lot of stuff with the clean beauty industry. What
Yes.
can you tell me a little bit more about that?
Yeah,
You seem to do a lot of stuff, which is great.
I do. I don't sleep. But yeah, so I recently joined Beauty Counter as a consultant because I wanted to be a part of their mission of bringing clean beauty products to everyone. And something that I love specifically about them is they have something called the Never List that is over 1,500 products that they will never put in their cosmetics. So
Wow.
so when I first found out about Beauty Counter, I was intrigued because I've always suffered from really bad cystic acne and psoriasis. So for a while, I've been trying to find products that are clean, like 100% clean. I don't want to put any chemicals on my face. I already have very, very sensitive skin. A lot of products make my face burn.
Mhm.
I've gotten a lot of chemical burns from experiences with products. So I found out about Beauty Counter about a year and a half ago, and I tried their foundation, and I absolutely fell in love with the company. I'd never had like a product that felt so good on my skin. So then I joined them as a consultant so I could keep spreading their mission and get my friends and family involved in like this movement to make clean beauty a thing, because we don't even realize the horrible chemicals that we're putting on our skin. I always tell my friends to read the label of what is in your makeup and then start Googling it, and you'll be absolutely terrified what you're putting on your skin.
Yep, that is so true. I have relatively recently realized that even some of the ones products say that they are clean, they're giving me a problem, and I didn't realize that my skin was breaking out in certain areas from it. And what I had noticed was that my husband, he loves buying from local people and stuff, so it's not really so local, but he ends up getting goat soap
Yeah.
from a place up in Maine. And I noticed that whenever I'd use that consistently, my skin felt so much better. It was clearer. It just felt better. And I was like, oh my gosh, all those products that I used to or I used thinking that they were, good for us in the environment were doing something to my personal skin. And literally just using this, and they farm them themselves, they make them themselves right there. It's their own personal goats that they have as well. And I was like, so I just have to really keep it to literally just the ingredients that makes the stuff clean and with no additives and stuff too. So like you, it's really been it's been beneficial for me as well to stick with that.
And not even
So
oh, sorry.
nope, you go.
And not only with makeup too, with like shampoo as well. It's been a big difference too for me finding a clean shampoo brand, just helping like keep my scalp feeling fresh and not having dandruff or psoriasis on my scalp too. It's huge. I mean, even shampoo can be so bad for your scalp as well.
So speaking of those kind of products, what do you guys have a line for like newborns or children or anything like that? Because their skin can be so delicate, and especially with newborns, and their pores are so open that so much just seeps in really easily.
We do. Beauty Counter has a line that's safe to use on newborns and infants. They have a body wash and a shampoo and a conditioner specifically made for them.
Awesome. That's awesome. So excited. So let's get a little bit more into I love hearing about the all the things that you do. I find it fascinating. And looking at your blog and stuff, I've loved like some of your poses and the cute little outfits that you've worn. I think that you're just adorable in your posts too.
Thank
Um,
you.
but let's talk a little bit about your struggles that you've had and how you found out about them. You've had some fertility struggles. Now, how a lot of women actually have this, but I don't think that they realize that they do. But tell us a little bit about how you found out and what are some of the struggles that you've had, dealing with it.
Yeah, for sure. So the tipping point where I found out was about a year and a half ago, where I was so sick that I was driving to work and I started like healing over because I was just in so much pain and I couldn't deal with it. And I called my mom and I said, you know what, I'm driving to the hospital. I can't deal with this anymore. I don't know what's wrong with me, but I'm just going to drive myself to the hospital and you can meet me there. So I drove to the hospital and they did a lot of tests and they couldn't figure out what was wrong with me, but they were like, you know what, we're going to send you to the Center for Infertility and Reproductive Health because we think that you might have severe endometriosis, but they couldn't do the x-rays there at the hospital then. So about a month later, I went to see a specialist at Brigham and Women's Hospital. And sure enough, I did have really bad endometriosis and on both sides, and it was getting worse and worse. So I did have the surgery to remove it. But during that time, they did a lot of tests and they found out that I wasn't producing eggs anymore.
Mm.
And it was rapidly decreasing the amount of eggs. Like they had tested me the first week and then the second week, and it was rapidly decreasing. So basically, they gave me my options. Someone at my age, I didn't want to have kids right now. So I opted to go through IVF to freeze an embryo
Mhm.
with my fiance. And we were going to inject this summer, but unfortunately, due to COVID, our wedding got moved and
Oh, I'm sorry
everything
to hear that.
kind of got shuffled. So we'll be
Yep.
waiting to inject the embryo next summer. But it was a very, very long process. But I didn't realize that. And it was a big struggle because it ended up being about a 2.5 month process for
Mm.
me. Because once you get your period, it starts the 28-day process. But up into there, there's a lot of like preparation you have to do and monitoring to get to that point. But I guess like what I didn't realize going into it was how common this was. And I started to realize that the more research I did and the more women I saw every day, like at the clinic going in for their tests and just all the people that I talked to during it. But I guess the biggest thing is you feel like a hormonal teenager again going through it. My emotions were I was crying for no reason, like you're an emotional mess. But
Well, I'm
at,
sure though it's not, I wouldn't say for no reason. That can be
no,
really, it can be really hard emotionally to find out that this is what's going on, especially when you say you're so young too. We think of, people who are doing IVF or having some fertility struggles as later on, like past 35 into their 40s. So we kind of expect things like my age, like I'm old. So if I wanted to have children at my age, I would probably expect that I would have some fertility struggles. So I'm sure, your age, it probably was a shock to you and
it was.
really emotional with everything else that was going on with your hormones and stuff. And then on top of that, having to handle what the doctors were telling you and what your options were too. And even though you say it was a long process, like 2.5 months, that's a really like short time to really kind of figure out what you're going to do for years to come in such a huge decision when it's talking about having children.
Yeah, no, I mean, too, it was a shock for us as well because that's like one of the only things I've ever wanted is to be a mom, and
Mhm.
not saying that if you can't have children on your own, there's nothing wrong with adopting children too. And that's definitely something we thought about also before we went through this because unfortunately, because of my age and the point that I didn't want to have children now, insurance wouldn't cover my IVF.
Oh, really?
um, because for some insurances, not all, but for mine, I had to have been actively trying to have a kid for at least six
Wow.
months and have documentation, which my doctor did have documentation proving
Mhm.
that I was infertile. And there was a very slim chance that I would be able to have a baby naturally. But that being said, there are a ton of supplemental insurance options for young women in the same situation. And I was able to go through one of those and get
Oh,
some of it
good.
covered, which was great. But I think a lot of people don't know about that also. So I think it's so important to do your research also.
Yep. Well, absolutely. And especially I'm surprised because Massachusetts is one of, or if not like the best place to have IVF with their insurance. Most insurances cover majority of it, as far as I know, from what I've heard from other people as well. So I'm really surprised that you had to go through some other supplemental insurances to get it too. That's interesting, and I'm glad that you mentioned that because I'm sure there's people who don't realize that too.
And that strictly to the doctors were saying too, because I was so young and relatively healthy, other than like my endometriosis too, was that part of the reason why it may not have been covered because it didn't really make sense to them why I needed to do this now.
Makes
With
sense.
um, but
Yep.
they were great going through the whole process. Like we wouldn't have been able to do it without the nurses at Brigham and Women's, just with all the
Oh,
different.
that's good. I'm glad to hear that too. Tell me a couple of some of the resources that you used or you were guided to be able to, make the decision that you made, or the doctors, the different doctors or the places that you went to, find this all out.
Yeah, definitely. So I started at the Center for Infertility and Reproductive Health, and they gave me a million and one resources. Like they were incredible. So throughout the process too, I was introduced to many other doctors. They set me up with a therapist in case there was someone I needed to talk to while I was going through this, which I highly recommend to all women going through it because just alone the shock of going through it, like one for me at my age too, was just very overwhelming for me too.
Mhm.
And just like for the emotional support too, other than your family, just having like an unbiased person to talk to. And they also connected me with a pain management doctor too, because of like my endometriosis on top of it too, to make sure that we could like long term manage my pain.
Mm,
Which is why my IVF took a little bit longer as well, because we had to get my endo taken care of before we could
yep.
start my IVF. Um, and then they connect you with your own nurse at Brigham and Women's also, who would call me every day and kind of walk me through the injections and how to do them. And they provide you with video resources too, because there's a lot of mixing of the different medications, which was very stressful for my mother and I. Um, she
Yep.
helped a lot with, because I was just so overwhelmed. It's a lot. I mean, you're sent boxes of medication with like little
Mm.
instructions that are like so hard to read, and you're supposed to mix all these drugs, take them at certain times. It can be very, very overwhelming.
I'm sure. I'm sure. I'm very lucky that my husband's in the sciences and biotech and stuff, and so like I defer all that to him. But I can't imagine um, not having somebody who understands, you know, all of that, going through all that, and having to put all of it together. That I mean, that must have just taken, you know, a toll on you. Both physically and emotionally too, because every time you have to, you know, do something, you know that this is for, you know, the struggles that you're going through. So wow, you're a really strong person having to go through all of that, not only just physically, but emotionally too. It sounds like your pain was so bad. I can't, I've had some friends growing up that have had endometriosis, and I've seen them in their in pain too. It's just awful. I don't wish it on anybody. Um, you know, so you're really strong for going through what you had to go through. I commend you for it. But everything's going on the up and up right now that
Yeah.
you've got your doctors in places and, you know, all that kind of thing.
Yeah, no, it's been great. Since my first surgery, the pain has been a lot more manageable. I actually haven't had to take any medication for the past 6 months to manage the pain, which has been great. So since the first like removal, it does grow back, unfortunately. So I probably will have to get surgery again someday because it will just keep growing back. But for
Oh,
right now, everything has been great. But when I've gone for ultrasounds, like even for my IVF, they could tell I have endo because they can see it.
oh, I'm so sorry. What are some of the things that you recommend some, you know, possibly young women who just found out like you did out of the blue, or, you know, some of the, you know, other, or just women in general who do find out too? What are some of the things that you recommend them to do for themselves for self-care during this kind of thing too?
Yeah, I mean, for the first thing I'd say after you find out is do your research because you want to make sure that you're finding the best doctor possible in your area and people that are going to be there to support you because it is a really hard process. And I guess second too is take some time off. I took some time off from work during this because I told my boss I think I'm going to be emotionally unstable, so I'm going to take a week off. Like the last week, as you're getting ready to do your egg retrieval, I would always recommend taking the last 3 to 4 days to just kind of like decompress and not have any other stressors too. Like my doctor told me to try to just like relax because it'll make the whole process go easier if I'm more at ease for sure.
Yeah, that makes sense too, especially absolutely for anything. Anything, if you're more relaxed for it, it goes smoother. Your body in general can process with whatever needs to happen as well too, both physically and mentally and emotionally as well.
Yeah, and then like finally just like find your support system and like stay with them through it. For me, it was my mom, my best friend's mom who was a nurse, and my
Mm.
fiance and my dad. I actually moved back in with my parents for the month while I was going through it, just so they could kind of be there for me, help me with all the injections and just like when I was upset because of the hormonal, all the hormone injections, just so that like I had people who I knew like loved me and cared about me and who could like help me through the process. And I think that's huge for anyone is just be with your support system because you're going to need them.
Yeah, and that's great that you have such a supportive family that, you know, is there, and friends to be able to support you do through all of this, and your fiance as well too, because I'm sure um, most men don't express their emotions, but I'm sure deep down he probably had some, you know, of his own, worried about you, but trying to think of like how his future was going to go too, because of stuff that you guys have talked about might be a little different. So that's great that you guys had all that support to help you guys with everything.
Yeah, no, for sure. I mean, I'm sure it wasn't easy the days he had to stick me with the needle because I could not stick myself. I think that's great too if you can find somebody who can stick for you because for me at least I couldn't do it. I could not stick myself.
I would be in your boat exactly the same thing. I like freeze up. I can't. I was talking to a friend of mine and she was like saying I should take or there was like an EMT class to be able to take and I was like I can't do it. I don't want that responsibility. If I have that training, people will defer to me and I am not good in when it comes to needles or blood or any of that kind of thing. So it is really true to have somebody who can do that for you.
Yeah, no, for sure. My best friend's mom did a lot of the harder injections for me
Mm.
also, since she's a nurse, and she knew where it wouldn't hurt as much and kind of like the protocols to go through, which was so nice having her because I don't know what we would have done without her.
That's awesome. Well, thank you so much for taking the time to actually talk with me and talk a little bit about, or open the door for other women to be able to talk about their infertility struggles and what they've gone through as well. Do you want to just give a little bit about, let us know what your social media stuff is for your blog and your new marketing business, which I think is awesome. Congratulations on the 5 people that you're working with. That's
Thank
phenomenal.
you. Yeah, so if anybody wants to connect and talk about anything, whether it be marketing, fashion, fertility issues, my blog is at Cats and Coffee by the Sea, and my marketing business is at Marketing by the Sea.
Nice. Thank you so much. As Laura said, you can reach her there, or you can obviously reach us too if you need to get in touch with her at info@generaldrafts.com. Thank you guys for joining us this evening. I'm Erin, and this is Alura, and we hope to see you guys sometime again.
Thank you so much.